àbọ̀rù bọ̀yé ẹ̀yin babaláwo.
Abora boy, I'm Oluo Fakolade of Idin Ifa Temple. This is our Sunday service. I want to begin with prayer. So, Oludumare, please support us. Ward off death, sickness, cases, controversies. Ward off fights, litigation, losses, and outright fights. Ward off witchcraft and negative energy from us. Bring forth to us long life, good spouse, good children, longevity, prosperity, victory over adversity, peace of mind, joy, healing, success, and all the good things of life. We ask at this time that you would continue to elevate our spirits, invigorate us as we go through these challenging times. We ask also at this time, Olodumare, that you would come forth. Help us to find, follow, and fulfill all of our destinies. Help us to get into this discussion of Ifa and spiritual revolution. Emma kamimenia mo, Emma kamimenia no, Emma kamimenia deloku. Tamole tori Ifa lonimi, Ebora timpanini, eni banami, awon ati Ifa lelejo ashe. So thank you all so much for your support. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, this is Oluo Fakolade of Idin Ifa Temple. So let's get into it. This week's service is the culmination of so much powerful action of African people to fight for their liberation. So many of you know this is a time period known as Black August. Why is it known as Black August? Because so many great things happened regarding African people and our struggle for liberation here in the Western Hemisphere and on the continent of Africa and in the diaspora. So today I want to talk about Ifa and its energy, inspiration, power, and fortitude in these revolutionary processes of African people. With our practice of Ifa, it is so important to do what's right. And oftentimes there's so much talk of, oh, peace, be patient, be still. And these things are very good things. These are endorsed by Ifa with Iwa Poele, gentle character. Patience is a good thing. But there are also times when Ifa says to act. There are other times when Ifa says to do other things. So today, we're going to talk about those things. What does Ifa say about oppression? What does Ifa say when you are surrounded by your enemies? How do you conduct yourself? So I want to begin this discussion of Black August by talking about the Odu Ifa known as Ogunda Bede. Ogunda Sori Ire, Ogunda Bede. Ifa says, you must never allow your enemy any space. What does that mean? It means if a fire is coming into your home, at that very moment, fire is your enemy. So you put the fire out. You don't invite the fire into the rooms where your children live, where your spouse is staying. You don't invite the fire into your household. This also means if there's a cobra, a rattlesnake, a water moccasin at the door, wiggling its way into your household, you don't open the door wide and say, okay, water moccasin or rattlesnake, go into this room where my baby's sleeping. You don't invite the snake inside of your house. No, you kill that snake. You stop that snake at the door. That is the focus. That is the process of what we need to be about. We do not allow the enemy any space. But what is also important is we use Ifa as our barometer Ifa as our support. Ifa is the weapon of our liberation, and Ifa is the weapon of actualizing our destiny. So, let me tell you this story. We come today on the heels of the birth date of a powerful revolution took place August 14th, August 14th, 1791. At this moment in time, Duti Boukman and Cecile Fatima and on the island of Hispaniola, also known as Haiti and Dominican Republic, they convened a meeting in what was known as Boicama, the area of the caiman or the alligators or the crocodiles in a crocodile swamp. These African people gathered because what was going on is they were being ravaged by the hell of enslavement by the French people. And what they did, they came together and organized. And it wasn't just them coming together and organizing. They also infused in that process of their liberation, they infused it with ritual. They invoked Almighty God, they invoked the ancestors, and they fed the ancestors. They say, legend has it, says that they fed the ancestors with a black pig. And this was the rallying cry. This was the impetus to wage revolution. As many of you know, Haiti became one of the first independent black republics. And what does this mean? We know that African people were brought into chattel slavery. They were snatched from the island, from the continent of Africa and brought to the islands of Hispaniola, to Dominican Republic, to Cuba, brought all over the diaspora. And it is only right for African people to desire their freedom. Because even today, we have neocolonialism that's happening on the continent of Africa. When we look at all of the things that are happening, even the mineral wealth of Nigeria is being sucked dry and given to other nations. This is a fact. And it's not just in Nigeria, it's all over the continent of Africa. European nations are benefiting from the mineral wealth, from the resources of our homeland. So these African people in Haiti, they desired to fight, and they fought back, and they liberated themselves. This is part of the reason, in my opinion, why Haiti is in the condition it is in today. It is because the French, it is because American and British powers that be have a vendetta against an African nation that utilized the science of Yoruba people to fight for their liberation. They used the Orishas, they used the Loa, they used the Voodoo to fight for their liberation. And this is only right when you think about it. We can't say that our ancestors supported us being enslaved. We can't say that they welcomed that process. We can't even say that it was right. So these African people fought. It is even said that Toussaint Louverture, his aunt, was a woman who was one of the Ahosi or Mino soldiers from Benin Republic or Republic of Dahomey. We know that in Dahomey there was an elite force of women soldiers who fought, and they did various things, but they were also fierce warriors. And when his aunt was enslaved, she taught the martial arts style of those women Tutusont. And he used that and also the strategy to get free. It's so important. So Ifa was very much involved in this process of creating voodoo and also creating an inspiring liberation in Haiti. I want to use this chorus throughout this sermon, and that chorus is, we must build with one hand and protect with the other. In the Odu Ifa of Odimeji, just to give you an idea of how Ifa works, Ifa gives us the proper guidance for the proper situation. Odimeji says, a cork uses its mouth as a seal against uprising. Owawa, the tree, Hyrax, uses its voice as a weapon against enemies. He who hears the voice of Oloboro bird from afar, he would think that if the bird is not as big as an elephant, it will certainly be bigger than a buffalo. When Oloboro bird crouches, it is not as big as a hen. These were Ifa's decorations to Idin, the son of Ogun, when he was in the midst of enemies. He was advised to offer a bow. He complied. Whether a gun is loaded or unloaded, no one will allow you to point it in their direction. What is this Ifa talking about? Ifa is speaking here of Irin, and this is the child of Ogun. And Ifa says that Irin was in the midst of many enemies. And Irin is actually the gun. And he was in the midst of enemies, and he was timid in the face of these enemies who were chastising and trying to destroy and kill him. And Ifa says what he needed to do was speak up. What Irin needed to do was open his mouth and say the words. He needed to speak his mind. And when he opened his mouth after he offered a bow, one tooth flew out and hit one of his enemies and killed him. He shouted, and the next enemy was hit with one of his teeth, and that killed the enemy. Ifa is saying here that it is not always necessary to be silent. This is not radical. This is Ifa. It is not always necessary to be silent. It is always necessary to consult with Ifa, but we need to know what is the proper medicine for the situation. In this situation, Irin, the medicine was speak up. You're going to be done in if you don't talk. If you don't speak up, if you don't say the words, if you don't speak for yours, you will be destroyed. So speak up. And when Ifa says speak up, and Odimeji is saying yell, it's saying raise your voice. That is what Irin needed to do. And when he did it, his enemies began to fall left and right. Ifa says, raise your voice. We need to speak out about the things that trouble us. We need to speak out and use Ifa, as I said before, as the means of our protection and the means of our liberation. We must build with one hand and protect what we build with the other. On the Odu Okara Meji, Ifa says, the breeze is it which blows the farm trees gently and quietly, and it is the tempest which blows the coconut leaves strongly and violently. The newly sprouted palm fronds do not inform each other before they spring up. These were Ifa's declarations to Awe Itula, he who searched for his he-goat and became prosperous in the process. He who said that his he-goat, which got lost, he must search for it. He was advised to offer a bow. He complied. Before long, not too far away, join us in the midst of Ire. So Ifa on this Odu. This is Odu Anakamechi. What happened is the deity known as Shango, the Irumole known as Shango, he had a favorite he-goat that he walked around with, that he would be everywhere with. This was his pet he-goat, his favorite he-goat. And what ended up happening is this he-goat was lost. But aside from the he-goat being lost, it is as if that he-goat was stolen. So, Shango went to cast Ifa and tried to figure out, like, what is the best way? Because people were not respecting the fact that he was going about, hey, I'm looking for my he-goat, it got lost, and people were like, yeah, okay, yeah, Shango. They weren't really taking this whole situation seriously. So Shango went to cast Ifa, and when he casted Ifa, Ifa said, what you need to do is threaten. Don't exert any violence, but what you need to do is say that you will do this and you will do that if you don't get your he-goat in the process. So Shango offered a bow, and what he did is he came back to the area where his he-goat was stolen or lost, and then he began to say, you know what, if I don't get my he-goat back, I'm going to rain down on this community. You know what, if I don't get my he-goat back in 24 hours, it's going to be hell to pay. I'm letting you know that right now. It's going down. And the people were like, oh, wait, I forgot who this person, this personality, this deity, I forgot who he was. Wait a minute, this is Shango. Okay, you know what? If he lost his he-goat, let me go get him a he-goat. I don't know where his he-goat is. I'm just going to give him a he-goat. And different people in the town were like, you know what? I don't know who took it, but it was somebody in this community. I'm just going to give him one of my he-goats and, you know, Shango, stall us out. So all of a sudden, different members of the population in this community began to just say, you know what, Shango, take this he-goat right here. You know, take this he-goat. And as you take this he-goat, what I want you to do is, you know, take this he-goat and look favorably upon me. And all of the members of the community began to give Shango a he-goat. That's why Ifa calls this Awa Itula, he who searched for his he-goat, it became prosperous in the process. Ifa is saying here that it is not necessarily violence is not always the answer, but intelligence and strategy is. In this situation, Shango didn't act violently. He merely threatened potential violence, or he threatened that this would happen, that would happen. And that is what was the medicine to transform that situation. So Ifa gives us so many different angles and options in terms of handling challenging situations. We can't be foolish to think that just because we're Ifa followers that we don't have enemies. That there aren't people online at this very moment who are looking, okay, I want them to mess up. I want you to mess up. And in this, it is not for me to concentrate on that. It is not for us to concentrate on our enemies or our haters. It is for us to concentrate on what Ifa says about the situation. What is the unique solution to the problem? How can Ifa advise us to do something different in order to reach the goal and maintain good character? That's key. And these are the things that our ancestors did. These are the things that our ancestors in Africa did, and the diaspora did. They utilized our spirituality, our African traditions as the mode and the inspiration and the catalyst to never give up when in any battle, whether it is the spiritual battle of trying to do what's right or the spiritual battle of that is the precursor to the physical battle. Our ancestors used Ifa, they used voodoo, they used various African traditions as a means to stay the course. Ifa says in the Odu Ogunda, Sori Ie Ogunda Bede, the riverbank on this side, the riverbank on the other side, it is only those who are attacked by mental illness. It is only those who eat their food with ashin, smelly rat. Those are the ones who can confront Eshu. And those are the ones who can confront Shango. It is only those who want Shango to slaughter them. Those are the ones who can confront the Awo. This Ifa is saying, as we embark on being closer to Ifa, being closer to the Irumole, and finding ourselves doing what is right based upon what God says, based upon what the Irumole support, then it is silly, it is suicidal for our enemies to come against us. If we're doing what Olodumare wills, if we are doing what is correct, what is right, we're doing the good thing, what can come against us? Even if it is a generational process, nothing can stop us. We must build with one hand. We must protect what we build with the other hand. We also come on the heels today of August 21st, 1831, the birth of an American revolution in the time of Southampton, the area of Southampton, Virginia. An African enslaved by the name of Nat Turner, a freedom fighter, leads an insurrection against chattel slavery and helped over 40 other enslaved Africans to liberate themselves. When we think about this, it is only right that Nat Turner fought for liberation. It is only right that Ancestor Nat stood up for what was right. Because at that time, slavery and enslaving African people was legal. It was legal. It was sanctioned and supported by the community. It was the norm. In the same token, it was against the law for African people to be able to read. That was the norm. When we look at the nature of this country, America, The reality is we are still living the legacy of enslavement. We're still living the legacy of generational trauma. Dr. Joy DeGruy calls it post-traumatic slavery syndrome. The generational effect of your ancestors being enslaved, that is real. We have yet to address it. And truly, we have yet to liberate from it. At this time in Black August, this is the time to analyze and look at those things and fight against them. At least in here, at least on a spiritual level, we need to stand up. We need to stand up for our own liberation within that context. Also, it is important for us to utilize Ifa, to utilize all of our African traditions as a means to reconnect with our ancestors, as a means to reconnect with what's good, what's right, what is our purpose. As I said, we must build with one hand and learn to protect what we build with the other. Lastly, on the Odu Ifa or Karan Sode, Ifa says, Hanu, lota siro, Hanu, nile sikan. The rock cannot collapse and kill a babalao, and Odu cannot kill a great herbalist. Ifa's message for Olofin, whom people were conspiring against. He was advised to offer Ebo. Now, Eshu of the wilderness and Ekuru of the savannah region, Etu, antelope, will help scatter all their conspiracies. It is the chewing stick that scattered the conspiracies in the mouth. And it is the root that crosses the root path that scattered the conspiracies of the feet. Atare, guinea pepper, is it that scattered the conspiracy of the herbalist. When it is afternoon time, the conspiracy of the dew will be scattered. Eshu of the forest and Ekuru of the savannah, let Etu help me scatter all their conspiracies. Ifa says that we are not to be the victims. We should, in essence, be the victors. In this regard, we need Ifa. Ifa is our key to support, and we must learn how to use Ifa within a way that supports our health, our help, and our liberation. So lastly, what I want to say is I want to encourage all of us, whatever cultural or ethnic background we consider ourselves to be, I encourage all of us to truly dig into the verses of Ifa, to truly dig into the actual culture of Ifa and Yoruba people. I want us to truly learn and actualize who we are. This is a unique tradition. It was spread not by people who were elites. It was spread by the oppressed. Ifa in the world has been spread by African people who were once enslaved. So, we must honor our ancestors and honor our legacy, particularly during this time. Aboro Aboye, happy Black August. Free the land and free the people. So, lastly, I want to share with you all that if you are interested, you enjoy the work that we're doing, please share. If you have any donations, if you have any love offerings, you're welcome to share that. Every Friday, we have a class, an Ifa class, that is on various topics. So if you're interested, please tune in. You can learn that information and you can get the registration for our Friday night class on our website. So we look forward to seeing you there. We also have Itarogun. Itarogun has also been offered. If you are interested in knowing more information about the Itarogun messages, everything is uploaded to the website. So we look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to sharing more beautiful stanzas of this wonderful tradition that we have, that is Ifa. I want to end with prayer. Ola Dumare. Ola Dumare Akamara. Oh, we ask at this time that you would continue to assist us in our struggle for destiny. Ifa, you have picked us to win. You have picked us to be great. Help us to live the full potential of what you have deemed us to be. We ask that you would continue to allow us to stand up, even in the face of adversity, to do what is right, to be like Orumila. Support us throughout this week. Protect us from all problems. Ward off death, sickness, cases, controversy. Ward off fights, litigation, losses in our fights, and all negative forces. Bring to us long life, good spouse, good children, peace of mind, joy, healing, and all the victory. Ashe, Aboro, Aboe, Aboshishe, Aboto. Thank you all so much, and we look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks. Thank you. I'm Fakolade, Oluo Vidinka, and our temple supports and sends you love. Abora boy.
Yóò pa o èṣù yóò pọ̀tá mi. Yóò pa o èṣù yóò pọ̀tá mi yányán. Alanga jíga, alanga jíga.